What? The northern people first came into the feds, they weren't validated per se on a federal level. They weren't classified as no gang. And this is basically the story about what brought that on and what forced the separation between the North and the South in prison. And Flacco is going to take it from here and let you guys know about the incident, and then we're going to break it down for you. And as always, hit that like and subscribe for us. We appreciate you.
So as you guys notice, right, I've gone over a lot of different timelines of major incidents. The started in Sheridan with Skip. Then from there it was Spider and Leavenworth, FCI. Then Happy. Then you had the incident that happened in Lompoc. Then you had the incident that happened in what do you call in Phoenix. And there was also other smaller skirmishes to where like the Nortenos and Surenos were not that deep. I'm pretty sure there's a couple yards where even Northerners probably locked it up that we don't know about, right? Because everybody's spread thin. Now, this last pretty much staged attack, right? There was 3 FCIs in South Carolina. All 3 simultaneously kicked it off. Now, the difference between this one and all the other ones was it wasn't on shorthand notice. This one they planned and prepared, and they were following orders. As we already know what happened in Hurlong, they didn't follow orders. We knew what happened in Atwater, they didn't follow orders. One of those places, the homeboys got victimized, and then the next one, the homeboys pretty much, got ran out of there because of administration. Now, the homeboys pretty much set it off like they were supposed to. Okay, all 3 yards kicked it off, and you had they did a pretty, like I said, whoever attacks first a lot of times is going to do the most damage, even if the other group has numbers or equal numbers. Now in South Carolina facilities, they were all pretty deep, but each one of those institutions wanted to do this simultaneously. Therefore, before the other one heard about what happened, so they could go prepare. So pretty much after the Board of Prisons seen all 3 of these yards kick off, this is when they had a state separation between North and South, that they would never be on the same yards again. They started taking certain homeboys off yards that maybe there were Surenos on. They started taking them out of institutions where Surenos were at, and they moved everybody around, some to Mendoza, others to certain USPs and whatnot. And this was probably took about 3 years, bro, until they did a really statewide separation. There had been incidents with ABs. The ABs had hit, like I said, Skip and Stork, and that hit actually happened. The AB came out of cuffs. There was the incident that happened in Victorville where the guards were involved. And there was also a dude named Skip Johnson who they thought was actually Skip, that they were all pumped up. They tried to kill him. Now, in this time of war, this is one thing that was a little bit different than from the state. It was told that it was not a cowardice act to take off on an enemy, even if they were in handcuffs, bro. It was war. They didn't care. So that's where they were on that level. And basically, this is what caused the separation to where they won't be on yards with Cali AB, Cali MA, right? Or the Surenos. And then administration tried to find a home to where they could, pretty much place them on. And we already know what happened there when they put them on the yard with a lot of the Texas groups.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. It took a long time for the feds to figure that out, man. You would think, especially with the because they slammed them Black Widow guys all down right away. I mean, most of them, the really, really well-known individuals, they went right to Florence, correct? Am I tripping, or am I right on right there?
No, not all of them.
Like Tibbs and the main ones all go to Florence first.
You know what? I think a lot of them actually hit the lines at first because they weren't all validated. I think I think Corny and all them went, right? But Skip went to the system early because he took that deal. And I don't know if he was in AdMax or whatnot that time, to be honest with you, bro. No one's ever told that part of the story because I remember he took a deal. When Operation Black Widow hit, he was the only one that was given permission to take a deal, and that was to go recruit. To get to the feds, help Mad Dog start recruiting and educating manpower. Now, when he was in Sheridan, he didn't just take off the first day he was there, bro. He was actually there for a couple months, plotting, recruiting, fixing things like, the big dogs and whatnot, a couple of situations that they had at hand. So, and that incident happened, I think, what was it, 2000, maybe four, I believe. I could be wrong. 2006. Uh, so I don't think that they were all slammed down right away, bro, because they were put out there on FCI yards, bro. Because if they were in the AdMex, they would have been kicked out to USPs, not FCIs. So people like Skip and Happy and Bird and Spider, they all went to FCI yards, bro, right off the top, coming from the feds.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I understand why they let Skip take the deal and let him get out there and, put his foot in the water and check the temperature and see what was going on and all that, man. But I'm still surprised that it took as long as it did for them to want to separate, all the California groups that have been at war since, the 60s. That's a trip to me, man.
Well, see, none of those incidents were like, they weren't really like planned fucking attacks at first.
Yeah.
Like Happy, they had to do that within a day. Bird, not Bird, excuse me, Spider. Those cats went to the hole, right? So the reasons why they were able to get those guys when they came out the hole was they came out the hole and they hit them right when they came out the hole, bro. 22 of them, and the Southsiders didn't have no pieces, and so they sent 14 on 22, but the 14 had pieces.
Right.
And say what you want about Spider's degenerate behaviors. He's not no punk. He's actually with the shit. You know what I mean? And then the other incidents, like I said, the Victorville, that was kind of what happened with the bike says that, like I said, they ended up paying for that in Herlong. That was because that was a 1 day fucking planned mission. The thing that happened in Phoenix, that was basically a 1 day thing. The Surenos kind of forced their hand, like, hey, you remove your own, or we're gonna remove you guys. See, not everybody was compliant with the what do you call, the no coexist with Surenos, because a lot of those dudes had been on those yards, and that's where the old ways of the NR were becoming an issue. Because see, a lot of those dudes came in with Mad Dog. Mad Dog had 80 co-defendants in that indictment.
Yeah.
Back in '94. There was a lot of bros that were from fucking Stockton that were in the feds at that time. And a lot of them were used to the Nuestra Raza ways, which the NF really didn't have a fucking say in a lot of their operations out there on the main lines. So when directives were coming out, a lot of times they were disregarding them. No, we can maintain this yard. We have no problems with these dudes, or we need more manpower. There was always all kinds of excuses. So not every yard got off, but a lot of yards did get off. And see, South Carolina was pretty much the fucking ones where they actually all followed suit. Everybody was confused. I talked to the homeboy. He said, man, we were confused what to do. Because some of these guys had been on the yards with Southsiders for like 2-3 years, and there was no issues, bro. Even though they were outnumbered, like, 200 to maybe 20 homeboys, right? There was no problems. And so now this took them to a whole different type of element. Now they're separated, but they're on yards where they feel safe. They're on yards to where there's maybe 2-3 carnales on the yards. There's maybe about anywhere from 20 to 50 homies on the yard. And, they have things such as Unity Day. They're on the yard with the Texas cars, right? They invite the Texas cars to join in when they do their spreads and all kinds of stuff. So they have different type of relationships with different people, and they're able to program without feeling like they have any threats from oppositions or anybody's trying to press up on them.
Yeah. Going back to what you said about, the planning and not planning, man. The reason the protocols, like for taking off, or if you're in a place that's been designated that you can't be at, or there's a group there that you can't be with, there's plans and protocols and things put in place to have a greater chance of being successful in whatever way you choose to approach, getting off that yard, getting people off that yard, whatever the ultimate goal is, man. And it's tried and true over generations, over decades, and there's a reason, man. So you always see these times when, and that just doesn't apply to the homies. That could apply to the gentleman from down south, to the people in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, wherever. There's protocols, man, and it's all been trial and error over decades. Okay, we're at war with these people. Let's try this strategy. Bam, that works. Okay, well, let's just try to maintain this and that. Bam, you get hit. And, like you said, man, when you're on the receiving end of the assault, of a riot, when you're not the aggressor, man, your chances just aren't as good, bro. I mean, we talked about this in the last video. you're going to be on the defensive. You're going to be caught off guard 9 times out of 10. You could know that there's friction on these yards. You can feel it in your bones, man. I've came out of my cell, like say in Susanville, for example, on the Lassen yard, way back in the early 90s. And man, you could taste and feel, and that, it didn't even have nothing to do with us. It was the blacks and the whites. But man, when it's about to go down. So you can sit there and be aware, be prepared, whatever. But when, you look up and there's a wave of 30, 40, 80 people coming at you, you have to react. They already have a plan of aggression. They got A, B, and C. All right, we're going to do this, this, and this. Man, and it's just it's harder to respond than it is to be the initiator of the conflict, bro. And there's like we were talking about, there's reasons that when there's a directive, you got to get off here, man, you get off ASAP, bro. You don't give the opposition a chance to plot and plan, man. You need to be the first one with your strategy, or you're liable to take the L, bro, real bad.
So here's an example. Let's just play it out, right? So you have 20 homeboys, right? They're about to get off. They're like, okay, we can't coexist with the Southsiders. There's maybe 100, maybe 150 Surenos on that yard, but maybe there's only on that yard, but there's only 80 on the yard that day. Okay, you send a wave of 10 real quick, bam, they hit the first fucking individuals, right? And the next wave comes right behind them and hits additional individuals. By then you already have about 15, 20 people whacked, and you got dudes that do not know how to fucking react and aren't ready for it. They ain't got no time to go fucking bury up the pieces. They ain't got time to do this and that. So the element of surprise, that's how it's always worked as far as in a lot of the advantages of the Nortenos. Because after they hit these dudes a couple of times, they're all scrambling like chickens with their heads cut off, right? Then that's when it goes down fucking with fisticuffs. But by then you've done a lot of damage. And see, that's how they've been able to infiltrate on certain yards in certain groups. Now, if that group is ready with pieces, right, it's going to be a whole different fucking story and an ending. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the way the Nortenos have had to operate in prison has always been, as far as in California, they had to take that kind of element. All that warfare training that they were fucking taught all those years really helped out when they hit these yards. See, none of these groups that I know of, right, these organizations educate their sub-factions, those that follow under their umbrella. Right? They don't give them education because they're scared they're going to get that education and use it against them. But the NF has always kind of educated its, subordinates, those that follow under its umbrella, which has always given its foot soldiers a little bit of advantage by that schooling.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, I didn't, like my whole first term, I really didn't know nothing. I understood, like household policies and stuff when I got there, they ran your paperwork, whatnot. They tell you, who's who, kind of, you know what I mean? And then they give you, hey, this is basically what's expected of you. And these are the no-nos. And, that was all I really learned my whole first term, but, I had paroled from the hole, right before I got out, I gone to the hole. And so, when you come back to the hole, you got to see ICC before they cut you loose anywhere. So I ended up in San Quentin on the 6 yard in the hole. And, man, the first day I was on that yard, I learned more in an hour than I had learned my whole first term. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
and I was just a regular Norteño at the time. I wasn't a bro, wasn't a C, none of that. And the things I was exposed to, it's like, man, I almost felt like I was in the prison gang already with all this information I was getting. You know what I'm saying? It was a culture shock, bro. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I understand this and I understand that, and that they teach you so much. And like you said, I haven't been around many other groups that maximize the training of their associates the way that the NF does. Yeah, I think you're real correct on that, man. That it's a minimal survival HHPs. This is what's expected, and this is who's in charge. If he tells you to do something, you do it. But like the inner workings and whys and weapons, warfare tactics, and all that kind of stuff, some other groups might be into it now, but the people from up north have done that for decades.
See, they've had their selective schooling. So say like you may have one dude that's a camarada or a skina or whatever they call it. He may be getting education, but he's not educating nobody else. See, I remember when we were on the 6 yard, we had a couple of young Northerners out there, right? Like about 2 or 3, but everybody else was bros or C's, right? And I remember half dead, I think it was Lucifer, and we just tell these youngsters, man, like, You know what, man? If every one of us on this yard got to a fucking yard, we would establish that yard. And we're only
Yeah,
25, 30 deep. But the caliber of manpower that we had, it wouldn't matter if there was how deep they were. We would have somehow established it, not just because of fucking being ferocious and treacherous, but because we know how to communicate. We know how to present unity. We know how to do security. We know how to get at our alliance, not our alliances, our friends on that yard, and maximize the most out of those relationships. You
yeah.
know, which is true. You know, it's like I said. Go ahead.
And what it boils down to, bro, like when I look at it, it's no offense, but man, they teach you how to manipulate, bro. You know what I mean? You're manipulating every situation to your advantage. You know, I tripped on that later in life. The things I learned, it's like, man, bro, I could just take advantage of every single thing and have a reason why the person I'm talking to would think it sounded good. You know, it's a trip, bro. It's mental warfare. You know what I mean? 100% in everything we were doing, man.
Yeah, and that's not to place the homeboys on a more advanced level, but see, that's the whole strategy that they had, man. Like I don't know of any other group, any other organizations that has presented a phase of education to where they can give it to these individuals to run the yard in accordance to how it's supposed to be, giving them bylaws to follow, right? Giving
Yeah,
them warfare tactics, giving them all the stuff. Now, of course, these guys know how to make pieces and do all that stuff, and they pick up things on their own. They naturally learn those skills as far as awareness, right? But
yeah,
this stuff was fucking ingrained in you fucking when you're like in the county jail. You're
yeah,
taught about the history. Some of it's manipulation, of course. You
yeah,
know, the propaganda that's also been spread a little bit. You know, we're taught a lot of propaganda, believe it or not. People get a little bit of history, and then they take that history and they spin it to where it could be a recruiting base,
yeah,
right? And see, that's like I said, the whole purpose for them was to go to the feds, right? This is what I was told. They have no issues with any Rasa groups. They want to be friends and they want to strive towards common goals of, being respectful and you know, uh, going against the system when the system's wrong. Those were the goals that they had when they got to the system. They didn't care about what was going on in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, or any of those areas, right?
yeah,
They were more focused about recruiting, right, and going from there. And so the plans kind of got fucking interrupted, like I said, when they kind of tried to sit there and say, well, who's this NF member here in Oregon? Right? He got to go. That's what kind of set it off, man. And then it went from one situation to the next, you know. But the South Carolina, like I said, there's a lot of people. Like I don't know the whole full scale of exactly everything that happened, right?
yeah,
But it kicked off pretty bad. I mean, people were being airlifted out of there. This is one thing that they planned. Fucking, they had time to plan this out, as opposed to all those other situations, which they did their thing, right? They hit the opposition first. This one, they caught the opposition totally fucking slacking. They did not see it coming. Therefore, those type of situations, you're going to normally be victorious, even if this would be different if they squared up, because I don't think the numbers were that off from each other. This is an East Coast prison, therefore you're going to have most of people from the East Coast. So the
yeah,
amount of homeboys and Surenos that was there, it wasn't as off as it would normally be. And some of the Surenos that were there, like I said before, were not even from California. Therefore, they didn't have the relationships of how it goes down between North and South in California, nor did
yeah,
they really understand how the Nortenos function.
yeah,
And like it's been said, man, everybody has said this from people, from the prisoners to fucking the guards to everybody. The Norteño program is probably one of the most strictest and organized programs that there is, and that's not taken from any other organization. And that sometimes I think is a default to them.
yeah. I told this story before about how out of state, Southerners being, not quite as aware of the California politics, even though, it's a California based group and whatnot. Bro, I was feeding them, certain things that they could make money off of, and they didn't even really know what I was. I'd be up there in a tank top and they got my back and stuff. It's like I'm thinking to myself, bro, like if you guys only knew, this wouldn't be going down like this, man. And what you were saying about, even if there's hella numbers, like say for example, there's 200 whoever's on the yard and there's only 30, other, one group, if they attack them, some groups get comfortable in their numbers. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
100, our security's crap now. We're out here getting loaded. Can't nobody mess with us. We're too strong. Well, you send some people that have an agenda that, have to answer for their actions, that got a lot on the line. They're going to make you regret laxing up when you have those kind of numbers, because they're going to make you look silly. And that's any group, bro.
You got to remember, those homeboys are more worried about fucking if they don't take action, what's going to happen to them.
Exactly. There's a
You
lot on
know?
the line right there, man. You get a direct order and you don't follow it, that's, man, at the very least your career, if not your life.
Yes, most definitely, man. So,
Yeah,
this, so
a
then
lot of,
this is
a lot
pretty
of
much.
pressure ahead.
So go ahead.
I'm done, bro. My bad.
Oh, so this is pretty much how the BLP stepped in. I'm pretty sure it was this incident. If not, like I said, there was other smaller incidents. Like, look, I talked about Jasper. Jasper fucking hit a yard FCI. What was it? Greenville, I think it was in Illinois. He was the only North Daniel in that whole fucking prison. You know what I'm saying? So there was other smaller skirmishes like that where homeboys got off, and they may have not got the best of it, or they did it like it used to be back in the days where you get sent to a fucking prison where it's all oppositions. You just get off as soon as you can, even before you have time to get a piece. You know what I'm saying? So there was also, like I said, but there was these ones were the ones that were more coordinated and had the more major effect, right? There was consequences for these, right? And BOP finally steps in. That's why the Texas cars, we're going to go into that later on, do not walk the yard with the biceps, right? Or the Surenos. There was issues with them too as well. Um, that's why the North don't walk the yard just with the South, the AB, and the MA. And I think they're including the federal AB, because the federal AB is pretty much, it falls under the individuals that came from California.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There really isn't really a Cali AB in there because they're all going to fall in the federal branch right when they get there.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, they're learning. They're still learning right now. But I think what is 2023? They've been in the feds for about 20 years, right? It took them about probably what? No, they've been there about 15 years. It took them about 6 years to figure it out, though, right? And now, like I said, you got a whole different type of situation in the feds. And I don't see them having any problems with any of the guys that walk the yards. I really don't. For one, I think they'll have decent numbers. Two, the NF doesn't really get down too much with a faulty type of style with other groups. They're not known to fucking be like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's not me just because we were a part of that at one time. That's just the truth. They're not doing those shady, oppressive type deals like you better do this or we're gonna whack you. Nah, that's not happening on none of those main lines.
Yeah, no, not at all. They're more interested in what's going on with themselves and always have been. Everything else is just business. You know what I mean? They're not, yeah, like you said, they're not trying to push no line with no other groups that don't fall under their umbrella or anything like that, man. They're going to try to recruit available people. They're going to try to, work deals that maximize the ability to introduce whatever they need to introduce to make money in there. They're going to do things like that. But like you said, bro, as far as trying to push up on people or take more than what they should have, we're gonna get what we have coming, or we're gonna throw down. But we're not trying to take more than, we're not trying to impede anybody else's rights. You know what I mean? And it's always been like that.
Yeah.
Unless it
Well,
comes to our own sometimes.
well, I'm gonna add some so that the viewers are gonna have some stories later on that are coming up. You're gonna have some interesting topics that I'm gonna be bringing up with Rojo, where there's certain areas, right, where they have their own car, like the St. Louis has their own car, Memphis has their own car. There's been groups out there that have had issues on these yards to where it's fucking 300 blacks versus 150 Hispanics or 200 Hispanics, vice versa. Just crazy fucking shit and crazy stories, man. The federal system is a whole nother fucking animal, man. And if they wouldn't have been strategic in how they did this or reacted the way they reacted, it'd be a whole different story today.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
still had a couple times where they fucked up, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. We just talked about that a little bit in the incident with the Python video, that the feds is a whole different ball game, man. Like you said, St. Louis has a car, Detroit might have a car. You know what I mean? The DC Blacks, that's always been a really, really strong, treacherous car. And man, there's so many battles that could be in the mix, but there's also
Hey,
alliances.
the DC Blacks are what forced the Cali card to exist at one time when the North and South and Bulldogs would kick it. Because if they wouldn't kick it, the DC Blacks were going to come. The DC Blacks were going to come for that cornhole.
Yeah, the DC Blacks are with the business, bro. You can't take nothing away from the cats, bro.
They'll take your cornhole though. If you only like one or two on that yard, they're taking your cornhole, bro. I was told that. That's why the Cali card was okay. Because say you're in a prison, say somewhere like in fucking Maine, right, or fucking New York, and there's only 2 Nortenos, 1 Surenos, 2 Bulldogs. Fuck, dude, and you got fucking 50 fucking DCs that are looking at your fucking booty hole. Yeah, you're gonna fucking unite just to stop that from fucking happening. That's the truth. I was actually told this by a homeboy.
Hungry eye.
Fucking A, bro.
Hey, them boys are in there starving.
You see a couple OGs right there with them, huh? Too the same thing. They're waiting.
I love booty. Booty was more important than water.
Oh yeah, booty was more important than water. That's some shit, man. You know what I mean? You know, think about that, man. The fucking Nortenos and Surenos and Bulldogs were fucking protecting each other so their booties wouldn't get touched.
Hey, you just hear about that little white dude that got the business in Alabama, didn't you?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Man, bro, like
they sold him and shit.
This ever since we started this channel, man. Them prisons down south are a little different, man.
I think Alabama is so much more dangerous, and they're so racial down there that if you're weak, they're gonna fucking prey upon you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Hey, from Louisiana over to Georgia, bro. Those are some rough ones, bro. Georgia
is rough, bro, because you have everything in Atlanta, bro. You have everything in Georgia prisons. You have Surenos, you have Nortenos, and this is state prison, right? You have Latin Kings, you have Vice Lords, you have disciples.
Crips and Bloods.
Have Crips. All those are in that, and then you have the homegrown ones who fucking. The homegrown ones were fucking having fucking COs knocked out on the streets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's another thing. Maybe we'll go into some of that Georgia shit because there's some crazy shit, and they had ties with a lot of the rappers too.
Yeah, it's a trip how politics vary. Like as far as silly as it sounds, is taking donut, bro. You know, it's like some states that's accepted practice, and it's like a sport. Where in other states, man, you get if you even act like you're funny like that, you're getting dispatched. You know?
Oh yeah, man.
But yeah, like, I don't want to go to Alabama. I'll just go to the hole, bro. You ain't gonna play with me like that.
Hell no. Nah. He looks so beef. I want to kiss him.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, hey, come on back here, man. Let's go around the corner. I'm feeling frisky too, motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fucking A, man. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this, man. Like, there's more to this, man. But this is just a basic understanding of what happened, man. I think these 3 things that simultaneously happened was what pretty much separated it, man. If not, it was really close to it. Like I said, that was 3 prisons all at once, and that's when BLP was like, "Fuck, we've had enough. Let's separate these dudes. They can't be together." Yeah. With that said, it's your boy Flacco, bro. I'm gone.